Can you find it?
Let me do that.
See. Let me also see if I can. Let me send him another. His invite is still open, so we'll see. Maybe he's like Uganda's big men. They arrive late for the function.
At least they arrive late. But you know what they say in Luo. Luo men or women do not arrive late. When they arrive late to the function, they are actually the function. So
okay, so the function starts when they arrive. Okay,
absolutely.
So let me try and send him a message as well.
There he goes. He's here.
He's on.
Hi, Hillary. Yep, he's on. Hi, Hillary. Can you hear us?
Hi, Robert. Hi.
Bamulinde.
Yes, sir.
I want to put a question mark at the end of your name because that's what you have done for us.
Have I? It's been a long day. Yes.
This has been one hell of a session. I would turn away for a few minutes, try and get some work done, and I'd come back and the thing has exploded. So how have you been?
Good, thank you. Good. Not so bad.
Did you find it enjoyable? What was going on Twitter the whole day?
Yes, I did. I've been posting a lot on Twitter last 1 year since the lockdown, the last lockdown. But nothing like today. Today has been a marathon. Today has been a marathon.
I told you at the beginning that you're a cult figure on these streets, and I was shocked myself.
Well, I don't know. I try to keep it subtle. My Twitter day actually usually is like 7 a.m. to like 9ish, and then I disappear till evening.
What's so subtle about what you say? I have not found a man more straight in his talk than you.
Well, it's it comes off easy sometimes when you've lived some of these experiences.
Yeah, that's true. And you're speaking from the heart, and it's authentic, and you're living. You're talking the life that you've lived. Yeah. So everybody says that your session is going to be so oversubscribed. Some are even asking me for VIP tickets. So I don't know how they do. I don't know how they do VIP tickets.
It starts thinking entrance fees next time.
Man, I wish I could. Today, let me tell you, Hillary. Today, if I was charging money, I would be making a killing for sure. That's 100%. But this is what we do for public service, my man. So we've got to do it.
I
mean, and let me tell you how real this is, right?
Yes.
It normally takes us about maybe 10 to 15 minutes to get to 300 listeners. We haven't yet started, and we're at 300 listeners.
Interesting.
That's actually true. Yeah, quite impressive, huh?
Yeah,
sort of scary though for me.
No, it's an endorsement of who you are, Hillary, and what you represent, and the things that you do. And
I try.
Me. No, well, so actually now I think we can even get started because we're just we do this banter just to check the sound system and make sure that it works. So just to let you know, I know you've listened in, but just to let you know, one, I do this with Otoa because we've got to be at least two people. If something goes wrong, then with at least on my side, and has happened twice before. Imagine I left my own space. So then that way, Otoa takes over and runs with it. But it's also good because I think that what we've started here might outlast my ability to do it. So someone else has got to train to do it. and take it over from me. But so, Hillary, again, just to say that I offered to do this, again, just for people who engage with me regularly, so that we have something productive that we do during lockdown, instead of just sharing memes and all sorts of things, so that this downtime can be useful to all of us when we spend time doing this. So I just wanted you to know that it's really just a public service, and you have really, really, even before we start, you have really, really acquitted yourself well so far today. So thank you, Hillary, one, for doing what you did with the tweets, and for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I don't know all the things that you promised to say at this time, but for me, the one I want to start with immediately, which I want you to tell me now. Try and guess which one you think I'm going to ask you. Let's see which one you think I'm going to ask you. Let me save you the trouble. Now, I want you to tell me the story that's killing me now, that the whole day is that story about the business of sachet alcohol. Now, first tell me that.
That story is the story of my life. But thank you, Robert. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for hosting me. I must say, when you sent me a message asking me if I could speak, I freaked out.
Why?
One thing, I'm not a speaker, and I've been listening in the last couple of days. When you've had people like Damali, you start thinking, oh my God, Kapalewa Hillary, what am I going to say? I can't be that fluent. And it's last night I struggled to sleep, and my wife was saying, "Do you need an exam?" But yes, I'll tell you about the alcohol story. I would like to start to give you a little bit of background about myself, because it does influence a lot of things that we're going to hear in the next couple of minutes.
Right.
Well, I was born in 1981, so I celebrate a big 4-0 later this year.
Hillary, 1981, yes. I was in senior one.
Can imagine. But also there are people listening in who are like, wow, the guy is old.
Their parents were in this one at that time.
True.
Yes.
Anyway, so I was born in rural Goshenyi to a father who was a trader, mainly dealing in salt. I know most people, yes, especially the young ones, will not understand that salt was big business back in the day.
That's true.
The people who would get it from Katwe, and then they would take it to different districts and that kind of thing. And my mother did just a small petty business and more of taking care of us. Now, a few years, of course, my parents separated when I was still young. I think I was in about P2, P3, and I went through a cycle of you at mommy's this time, daddy takes you and takes you back to the village. And it wasn't something exciting. But the worst was yet to happen. A few years after their separation, I think I was in P5, my dad passed. So we go through the burials. I moved from Mitoma to Kampala because my mother had moved to Kampala then. And as sometimes you think you've hit rock bottom, and I like telling people that there is plenty of space under rock bottom.
Are you sure?
I think that's what I saw happening to me, because your father dies in P5, and in P6 my mother passes as well. So I'm left a total orphan in a very short space of time, with siblings who are much younger than me. I was the oldest among my siblings, and
in short space you have to become the breadwinner.
Yes, very quickly. But a few things happen. Because my uncle who had taken us couldn't take care of us, couldn't pay the fees, so I ran away. And
you ran away.
This was this was the first.
You ran away
first signs of the rebel from his home. His home was in Isinjiro, so I woke up at 5 a.m., entered the bus, and we reach Mbara. And of course, they're starting to collect, and I don't have money, so they throw me out of the bus. and I spent a few good hours in the bus.
Where were you going anyway?
I was going to Kampala. Now, of course, I had been with my mom in Kampala, and I knew some of her friends. And my father said, "No, I'm going to handle this village life. I'm going to find my mom's friends, and they might help." You know, when you're young, you think you're entitled. You think people should do things for you.
Absolutely.
This was my. You think you even overthink your parents' friends. You think they're tighter than whatever. So. And a good Samaritan gives me some money, and I find my way in Kampala. So I get to Kampala, and the first person I go to is like, you know what, I can't take care of you in Kampala. I also have some problems, but what I can do, because everyone was feeling sorry for me. This guy is an orphan. Where is he going to go? We don't even know his relatives. So the guy takes me to Masaka to live with a sister. Now I start a cycle of living with guardians who are not even related to you.
Meanwhile, where are the other members now? The other siblings?
Now the other members have stayed in Isinjiro with my uncle. And I think it's difficult for some, especially the younger people.
And you are how old at this point now?
Well, this is about 10 years old. Yeah, about 9, 10. That's how much I've been training myself to take risks and do things. So I got to Masaka, get enrolled in the school, and as luck would have it, Compassion International comes along. A number of you may have heard of this organization. And they come enrolling people, especially those who are orphans. I think at the time, the AIDS scourge had also swept the whole of Rakai. So there are so many organizations pouring in to help orphans. So I get the opportunity to get sponsored by Compassion International. They pay my fees right from primary school to until I finished secondary school. So I moved from Masaka and got to Chivuli Secondary School for my O-level. Now I start facing real life lessons. I'm in Chivuli of those days. I don't know the Chivuli of now, but Chivuli of those days was actually an elite school. You had sons of ministers. Yes, you had sons of ministers. It was very bro. They never used to wear the gandulas I see nowadays. It was I'll say a Budo, or not Budo guys might want to kick me, but it was a good school. So I get in S1, and I remember the first day we introduced ourselves, and I tell people I come from Masaka Baptist Primary School, and the whole class burst into laughter. But no one had ever heard of that school. No one.
Nakasero Primary School.
Not Nakasero, not Budo Junior. Everyone burst into laughter. And I immediately get a name, John the Baptist. Trust me, it was a bit traumatizing. But at the end of the first term, I beat everyone. I was the first in class. And my fortunes start to change. And this gave me the first lesson in life. Leverage your advantages. Learn to take advantage of your advantage. Here you are, I'm an orphan, you've come into this school, has many rich kids. Of course, everyone looks at you, you're a villager. And the first thing I did was beat all of them hands down. And then the script changed. I started getting some respect.
You turned the tables.
I started turning tables. Now people want to associate with you. The John the Baptist story quickly disappeared. Somehow even the girls warm up to you because you're the guy. Because otherwise, tomorrow, if you want discussion, who are you going to discuss with? So that was the story of the first few years, the first few years of my life.
So the girls start to look at you with a different eye now. You gain confidence.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I know from the background you've just had. It was very easy for me, say, to feel sorry for myself, and you think people should pity me, or because I'm an orphan, and that kind of thing. Actually, as a matter of fact,
my best friend through secondary school found out I was an orphan in senior 6. Because I purposed not to live like one. And it was very
not
easy
to be
tell
known
when-
as one.
And not to be known, because people find your weaknesses and they want to use it against you. They want to
they stigmatize
you. Yes, you're the guy who is sponsored by an organization and that kind of thing. And Chuburi was a school where you could easily be picked upon as the poor kid, because I don't know why, but Chuburi had visitations every Sunday.
And for you were there watching members.
My friend, they even forgot to pick me at the end of first term. Stayed an extra night. So it wasn't easy. So I go through O level. I go to Namiliango College. I fit in that school quite easily because I was very social, and Namiliango was not as competitive as Chubuli. It was more homely, brotherhood, that kind of thing. So I finished in A-level, qualified for government sponsorship. I go to university. And
which university?
Makerere University. The real life starts to as you're sleeping in a hall.
As we used to say those days, what were you offering at Makerere?
Yes. Now I was doing social sciences. I had applied for journalism. Probably I would have ended up working with Europe. Can you imagine?
Thank God.
and put mass communication as my first choice. I had ABBB, D2, and I missed mass comm by 0.5, which I felt so bad. And I don't
let's
even
just
know
say
I wanted.
Let's just say you survived. But let's go.
Probably survived. And I don't understand why I wanted to do mass comm, because I'm not a good speaker or good writer, but now here you are. Yes. So I end up doing social sciences, which basically, because one, I sort of initially I despised the course. It gave me time to do things. I was in classes. Sometimes I just turned up for exams. Yeah, I was doing what most 20-year-olds do. You're a bit of a rebel, but of course, you're a rebel, but you live in a little. You are rebel. You have nowhere to go, boss. Yeah. So my first stints of being grown up and taking decisions, which I'd always taken. I know my first choice in P7, I picked it. No one told me. In S4, my first choice going to Namiliango was my own choice. No one helped me or told me. When you live with guardians, they are dealing with their own children, and it's the same thing.
So Hilary, let me rush you a little bit. So now after Makerere, so during Makerere, were you hustling or you were just enjoying life generally?
So during Makerere, the first vacation, those days vacation used to be 3 months.
3 months,
I got UK and Bank Cheyo. I worked as a bin man for Croydon.
Now the other first wait you bamulinde. First of all, the one of Isindro, you have explained how you left on a bus and you managed somehow to get money to come to Kampala. But now, how did you go to London, Newman? How did you leave this Uganda?
Now, my best friend through secondary school already had cousins and a brother living in London. So it gives me the idea, like, Hilary, end of vacation, we have 3 months, which you can stretch to 4 months, because the first month of after retirement
of campus is just
never used to be
big. It was just dancing.
It was just a Mitchell Bazaar and that kind of thing.
Dancing generally.
Let's try and get visas. We go and bank Cheyo for a good 4.5 months and come back. Now, there's a big difference between the visa applications now and the visa applications then. At the time, it was very easy for me to go say to NASA, get a bank statement, get a letter, and even get coached. Actually, there were guys at NASA who would coach you how to answer interview questions. Then you go, say, no, I want to go on tour. My parents are sponsoring me. I'm a fan of Arsenal. I want to go to Highbury. And those are the stories. And visa lines would start at midnight. Visa lines would start at midnight from, what is it?
Yes.
The Javas
Parliament
now. And Parliament
from Cafe Pap.
Yes, most people wouldn't know those experiences now. But I would say it was probably down to luck, a bit of confidence, but more towards luck. That you're a university student, you're a bit confident, and there are so many of us. There's so many of us at the time that would actually go to London and other places in UK, bank Cheyo and come back. I would say the ones who were sharp, the ones who were sharp at the time. Yeah, so this was my first opportunity that opened my eyes. You go to London and you see all these things happening, and you think of Kampala, you're like, we are really a banana republic. And you start seeing so many things that you can do. So I come back, I've made, of course, a bit of money, and like any young man, you've just seen your first few dollars. I think I came back with about $1,500, which was quite a lot of money then. It was
that was a lot of money. That's true.
And guess what? I had a group of about 30 friends. We parted every day, I think, for 30 days.
On the 1,000?
On the 1,500. The money was finished. Okay, nearly finished. Of course, I saved the money, and now I started the side hustles. At the time, I think in my second year, I owned about 5 or 6 phone booths. Right now, most people don't understand a phone booth. Hey, no, where you'd go and pay and make a call there and go away.
Where did you have these phone booths?
Those phone booths were around Makerere. All these hostels had a phone booth in front of a hostel.
So you were operating
the call. Yes.
Okay,
so
that's people... where you
are. Yes, sir.
Sorry, go on. Go on.
So I got people, you'd give them a phone booth, and they would give you 1,000 shillings every day. So they're in charge of buying their own airtime. But you see that gadget, one, it also needed you would call it, not connection, but you need to be a bit enlightened. Know where do you go, apply, get this phone booth, and then put an operator. And they would pay me 1,000 shillings each a day. But 5,000 shillings was also quite a bit of money.
Per day, for 30 days, that is 150,000, right?
Yes, and yes. And those days,
even now, now that's a lot of money. Yeah?
Yes, and those days we had that what we call chukumi. Imagine you'd get a full plate of food for about 300 shillings. So now you can understand how far 1,000 will take you. So I started doing a bit of that, and I would also do a bit of part-time research work here and there. I'd registered with I don't remember the agency, but they would call me when they have research work. So
was it Research International or Stedman? One of the two, maybe.
It was a small farm in Wandegea, and it would use students. But of course, I would do a good job. Yeah, every time they had a gig, they would call me up. So I finished university. I finished Makerere. And because now I was used to the UK thing, because I'd gone even in second year for Cheyo. So immediately after university, I got to UK. But this time I had a proper student visa, because you've gone and come back. I got a 3-year student visa. It was now much easier to get because of the history. So I got to UK. I worked for 1 year. Come back, and of course, still a young man. I don't want to make it appear like I've always had my head screwed on. I work 1 year, I come back, and we party. Now
and
most of my
blow
guys
the money.
Finished uni. Yes, finished uni. They don't have jobs yet. Then I go back and say no.
And you are the mullah.
Yes, of course. That's some Kamane. The Kamane was good. At that time, you come back, you have £5,000. But of course, now I had a little clever. So I would come back and say, someone tells me, no, we can invest in printery at NASA. And you say, okay, how much? We say the machine is 7 million or 8 million. And you put in some money, and then they start giving you some money monthly. Then now I start my sort of business journey. I'm working with friends. I bring in funds. I would send funds from UK. Nowadays, the younger ones will look at eBay and say, oh, all this Amazon, these things are easy. Those days, people would be here in Kampala and don't know where to get into the basics.
That's true.
So
that's true.
People will call you, no, I want to start a photo studio. Can you buy me this kind of camera? And then, of course, now we had that exposure. You'd buy the things on eBay or anywhere and send them down, make a small profit. But I was starting to see, UK, but some money is coming in. Now I got a bar job. I used to be a waiter in Circle Club in Manchester. This was a high-end bar. You had to be a member or a guest of a member. So it introduced me to people and mannerisms and how to behave around rich people, because you never know who the person is you're talking to. So it started giving me that attitude, respect.
No kamanyiro.
No kamanyiro, not these Ugandan things. You work and you want to have conversations
with the patron.
With the patron, just like the foie. So I do my masters. I paid for my masters. I remember it was £9,800. It was very painful at the time.
So you're doing this masters while doing the job at the bar?
Yes, and while working in the Barclays call center. So the Barclays call center was like my official job. Could only work 6 hours because of the student visa, but the bar job was open. So I would go to Barclays in the morning, go to uni in the afternoon. So I dodged all. I never attended any morning lessons. Go to uni in the afternoon, catch up in the night on the schoolwork that I'll have missed during the day. Then the club was busier between Wednesday and Sunday. So Wednesday maybe you work up to midnight. Thursday you work up to 3. Friday you work up to 6, and Saturday you work up to 6. So I had a period where
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Yes. I had a period where for 2 years I worked like a robot. I would tell you what I'll be doing next week on Thursday at exactly this time, because it was exactly the same thing.
So you would move from call center to the bar to school. Call center
from
to the
call
bar.
center to university, do the afternoon lecture, come back home, take a one hour nap, go to the club, work up to 4 or 5 a.m., go back home. Now, I know if I enter bed, I'll not sleep. I will not wake up. So what I do, I shower and sit in my car. Put my 2 phones on alarm, 5 minutes apart, and doze off. When the alarms go off, I start the car and drive to work. Come back in the afternoon, take a 4-hour nap, go back for another 12-hour shift. This was, I think, the beginning of molding the Hillary that most people see and don't know very well. We really worked hard. I raised the £9,800 on my own from the Barclays salary and the club side. The club was good, probably one of the best jobs I've ever done. The tips were fantastic, because on the tips I could afford to top up on my fees. I could send some money back here. I started doing some little bit of investment here, depositing on a piece of land. You send £200, you'd get a piece of land for 2 million. And you send £100, I think then was like 100,000. But that would solve the person's problem. So you keep depositing slowly and that kind of thing. And I'd also joined a circle just after campus. We had started a circle where I think we started with 50,000 shillings per month, that kind of thing. And by the time I finished uni, we had collected quite a bit of money. We went to DFC, got a loan, bought a piece of land in Chitezi, subdivided it, and that was the death of that circle. Everyone got a piece of a plot of land. I'd put quite a bit of money in the pot, so I ended up with three plots. So by the time I finished my master's and coming back down here, I had a few small things already bringing some money. Some money coming from printing. I was already doing a bit of trading, sending a few things down here, and I'd already secured a few small pieces of land. Now, while in this club, I met a gentleman called Andy, and I was so good to Andy. I used to take care of his guests, and he was amazed. He was amazed at my level of professionalism, at how enthusiastic I was at my job. So one day, Andy walks into the club, and it's not busy. He's like, Hillary, let's have a chat. Tell me, what do you do? Where do you come from? And I tell him, I'm from Uganda. I'm here. I'm studying. I'm doing a master's. And this guy is blown away. He's like, you work here and you have a master's. He's like, I'm impressed. And they was at the time was rich. He was a rich guy. I think at the time was net worth about £30 million. And I was blown away. So he tells me, Hillary, I'm going to find something. Because I told him, I want to go back home and see what I can do, where I can make a difference, get a job down there. So Andy hooks me up with my first professional job. He had a friend in Ghana who had a company building telecom towers. So Andy buys me my tickets to come to Uganda, say hello to my people, and the ticket back to Ghana. He bought me a laptop. I was also doing a bit of research for him down in Kampala. He was looking to invest a few things here. So I go to Ghana, do my 4 months stint in Ghana, and come back to Uganda. I think I came back with probably $17,000 as savings. They're paying me $5K a month in Ghana, and Andy had subsidized my accommodation and air ticket. All this is coming from someone who is a stranger that you met, but was impressed by your attitude. And I usually tell people, I've talked about it on Twitter, that your attitude, your attitude can take you places where your connections cannot take you.
That's true.
Your attitude can open doors. So this is a guy basically seen as just a customer, and that's why I respect waiters and waitresses, because these people do a lot, and you never know who they're going to meet. People underlook these jobs, but life is funny, because you never know who is going to whose eye you're going to catch. Yes. So I'm quickly going to wrap up this background story.
It's fascinating, actually.
So I come back to Uganda. Of course, I'd sent before coming back, I'd sent my CVs so many organizations, including Barclays here. And they didn't even bother. I found out later, someone told me, "Hey, you're coming from Barclays, UK. People think you bring Rugeze here. What?" So anyway. So I come back here, I think a few months, about 4 months down the road, I get a job offer from Umeme as a senior procurement officer. Remember, I'd done a master's in procurement and logistics. I'd been in Ghana, done a stint as a procurement consultant. So that was basically my CV. And if I can add, those days, a master's in procurement was a reality in this town. I remember the time, I think we were about 15 people in this country that had a master's in procurement. It used to be a function of finance, and organizations were starting to break it away, make it a bit independent and that kind of thing. So I walk into Meme as a senior procurement officer, and I'll tell you, for the first 4 months, people were scared of talking to me. Everyone, including my workmates. This was the guy. No one knew me. No one knew which school I went to. No one knew any old of mine. So everyone was thinking, this 24, 25-year-old senior position, where did he come from? So the assumption was they have planted a spy. They have brought someone who's going to finish us. So fast forward, I finished my induction, and immediately I got promoted to procurement manager. I'd been very impressive at what I used to do. I had a Mzungu boss at the time. And I was managing a team of about 6-7 people. Now, the funny thing is, I was actually younger than all these people. One of them had a son who was almost my age. So this was an interesting environment for me to work in. Yes. And it taught me a lot. Respecting people, how you treat people, how they treat you back. And I know a lot of people struggle with not being a boss, someone older than you. But at the end of the day, if you treat someone right, they'll give you the respect you deserve. People look beyond your age. Yeah. And many people have told me, what, it's like you grew ahead of your time. You're doing many things. You get into all these spaces. And I don't know. Some things I think, sometimes I used to tell myself, maybe God gave me some blessings to compensate for the tragedies I suffered as a child. I don't know. But, well here we are.
They shaped you into who you are, who you became.
Very much so, very much so. So I did 4 years in Omeme, and at the time I was already doing so many small side hustles. I was already buying and flipping land. I was importing things for people from UK, because now we are the guys of we're the OBs. We're the OBs of UK. Nowadays kids think it's easy to go to UK. Those days it was not. We come back to meet you, and the whole university knows this guy came
that you had gone to the UK.
Yes. It was good. Anyway, so I was doing a few side hustles here and there, and to me, a job has always been a job. I go to office, not to just type on my computer and move this file from here to there. No, for me, I would go to work, solve a problem, but in the process, what have I learned? What opportunities are out there? If I've solved a problem for my company, are there other companies out there with probably the same problem? How can I tap into it? And that mindset is what propelled me to do some of the businesses that I started a few years down the road. So I do 4 years down the road. Yes, yes, Robert.
No, I
do 4 years.
So yeah.
I do 4 years, and then Talo comes calling. Oh, okay. I was already paid a very good salary. I was comfortable. And then Talo comes along and gives me, I think it was almost 500 or 600% pay offer. And oh my God, who didn't want to work for an oil company?
Exactly.
It was the darling in town. At that time they're talking, it's 10 years, 12, whatever years ago. We're talking fast oil is coming, and everyone wants to be part of this gig. And the pay was good and whatever. So I moved, of course, I was a good liver. I tell my bosses I need a change. I'm still growing my career and blah, blah, blah. I got Talo Oil. So my first year in Talo Oil started my proper business journey. Because I realized in that year, I kept getting so many inquiries from power contractors, from people who are building power lines in Rwanda and Congo, asking me, Hillary, can you give us a contact for item X? Oh, Hillary, where can you buy this? Hillary, where do you get? So what I told you earlier, that I would go to work, not just for the sake of working, but to also learn. And in those 4 years, I had gained an understanding of the power industry. To an extent, I was more like an electrical engineer. I would tell you, what, you're requisitioning for item X, but how come you've not requisitioned for this? How will this work without this? Hey, sorry, you add it. So now, in my first year at Talo, because of these inquiries, I said, what, I can actually now do this as a full-time business. It's an opportunity. People keep asking me for this. So now, instead, people would ask me, and I would tell them, oh, go to company X in India. Oh, go to company Y in France. So I started telling them, give me your requirements, and I give you a quotation. So now, to go to those companies, because I'd now built rapport with them, and I ask them, I'm sourcing for item X and Y, give me the drawings, give me the quotation, I'll compute the logistics, the forwarding bit and taxes, add my markup, and I give back these guys a quotation. So I think in my second year at Tallow, I was making more money in a month supplying power materials than I was making at Tallow
as a Tallow employee
in an entire year.
Wow.
In an entire year, yes. And that all came from gaining an understanding, seeing where can I leverage. And like I say, most people go to work and you're just working, submit a report to go away. What is that? You can't live your life like that. Whatever department you're in, whether in IT, if you've been hacked and you've managed to solve that solution, just know that's an opportunity. You could be providing that service to another company somewhere. And you can do it alongside your job. Now, Yes, Tony. I think
I wanted to detour. I wanted to detour a bit. So you said that at 25 you already had your job, and at some stage you had a house and you're already married. Can you just tell us a bit, because it fits in there? So you said it was important for you to get married.
Yeah. So at 25, I did my Kwanjula. Now I'll tell you a funny story. I held a meeting, a Kwanjula meeting at Centenary Park, and invited my friends. Told them, guys, I'm doing Kwanjula in 4 or 5 months. Now the funny bit is we actually drank more money than we collected in the pledges.
That night at the meeting.
Yes, because most of my friends were not working. Some of them had started working in banks and on 600,000, 400,000. So it's a good friend of mine, I think, gave me over 300,000. It was like the only major pledge. And he told me years later, that was like my rent for 2 months almost. So it's, I do my Kwanjula at 25. I did my wedding at 26. I didn't bother holding meetings for my wedding. I think by the time we told people, we had already paid all the service providers. I had a very small wedding. My wedding was 110 people.
Wow. And you were an orphan. You are an orphan. You didn't have
Yes, and that's a good thing. Yes, I was an orphan. My wife comes from a big family. But we had decided, say, you know what, you have 50 people, I have 50 people, and maybe 10 extras. But it was a very small, intimate wedding. We could afford it. We paid everything. Everyone had a good time. And let me tell you what, I got a lot of pledges and support towards the wedding. And on my wedding, I remember because we were traveling the following day for honeymoon, Pablo was our MC. We gave him the remaining part of cake. And the entire amount we collected in the pledges in the last, I think, 3 weeks, it was about 6 million shillings. And we donated it to Burashes. I don't know if people know Burashes, but Burashes is like the Sanyu baby's home. Because I was like, you know what, God has already blessed me. I have a number of things going well. I'm making a bit of money. I'm going to share my happiness, my wedding happiness, with kids who are probably in the same situation as where I have come from.
And you said something. You said something which I found very, very profound. That you needed someone to ground you. Could you just talk a bit more? Why was that such an important element? Yeah.
Okay. Now I remember when I moved back and started staying with my ex-girlfriend, who is now my wife, and we are renting. We are renting in a small place in Perere, and she used to tell me, but Hillary, if you died tomorrow, the landlord will not allow you to put fire in that compound. You're going to burn his grass. And this is, you brush it off and what, but in your heart, this is actually real. I need to probably start planning for a home. But if I didn't have someone probably push me, and sometimes in a bad way, in an annoying way, I would, as a young guy, I would just go to Bokoto Flats or Bugos Flats and buy an X5 or something. And, be
Subaru
Ondava, put number plate, not to say something like that.
Bamulinde.
So this person was pushing me to do things. Was they people were so poking you. You're getting excited and saying, no, you where you grew up, you need to check on your people, you need to support them. You need to remember compassion and also be compassionate to someone else, and that kind of thing. And I've also always been a person who liked being looked after. So I needed someone around me to help me. Otherwise, I'll just end up
all over the place,
wasting away. So it was that decision was very helpful.
So now you're making this money. You've got a partner to ground you. And I am going back to my original question. The sachets of alcohol and how it almost took you down.
Yes. Now, in Uganda, we do so many things because we assume that there's money in this business. So I have a good friend of mine. We had also worked in Walaya together. He's back and he's a very enterprising guy. He comes up with this idea of sachet wallet. So I said, okay, no, let us do research. How much does it take to manufacture the Kavera? Whatever it's 350. How much do they sell it at? 1,000. Immediately, cling, we have a business. We're going to make money. So, immediately we do some design. We go to China, we buy a machine that could do packaging, and we buy packaging. And this guy, quite an innovative guy, he had done his work. He had studied how do you blend it, how do we mix it. So we import all these machines, water filtration plant, and set it up based on numbers that we had calculated over our heads, or what this thing does, and how it is going to make money, and how people, and say, people drink every day. So how we die of money. We make this alcohol, very fantastic product. We had a product called $1 Million Vodka and forgotten the other one. But we had something new, something unique. For the first time, the sachet wallet was being packed in a pouch. So you could bite it, suck a bit, and make it stand on the table. And people this is something. This is going to be whatever. I know people test it and so, it's really good. But they don't buy after that. So we're making good product. People are giving it all these reviews, but we forgot the other components of a business.
Which are?
We couldn't distribute the product. So we give a guy a pickup full of product. He goes to Masindi with 6 million worth of product. He comes back after a week with 3 million shillings in cash. He has the leftover product of 400,000. And then the stories start. Police onoteyansa sudde kanokaya box kanokade kabise. My God. And he said, no, but people are still saying, it's raving, it's a good product. That hype. People can encourage you. But we lost money. I had an apartment at the time, Sunset. And those were the first proper estates, and I had 2 apartments there. I sold them. Yes. I sold them, invested this money in the alcohol. Because remember, we used to import ethanol, add water and the flavor, and blend them.
I like the way you've put it. You sold 2 apartments and put the money in alcohol.
Yes, because the numbers were exciting. The numbers on paper were very exciting. And those days, leading what you were just starting, and we're seeing them with announcements all over, and we're going to be like these guys. We're competing with these guys. Now, of course, we didn't know the dynamics of this business. Some of these guys were importing ethanol from India, highly subsidized and on credit. For us, on the other hand, we were selling assets to fund this business. I remember the time. At the time, I was driving a Land Cruiser VX. I sold that VX and bought what's the name? It was like a Corona, a Brevis. I bought a Brevis. Do you know?
You're now downsizing.
Do you know to come from a VX to a Brevis? It was like a big slap in my face. And this time, okay, of course, I'm in Talo. I have a full-time job, so the full-time job, of course, keeps me going. But in the meantime, I'm liquidating things. I remember at some point, my wife asked me, "Hilary, where's the title of this house?" Because she was so worried. I was selling so many things to invest in this business that she thought I'd probably even mortgaged the home already.
Yes.
And I remember one day I woke up and I called my business partner and said, "Guys, stop working today." And that is a major lesson was a major lesson for me and probably for other people, that don't invest in something that appears to be making money. Don't assume. You see there are people, you see the product all over the place. We've seen here maybe telco, some of the small telcos that come here and they are hyped and they have branded cars, and 8 months down the road it has folded. So you go into it because it has a bit of hype, and you end up losing money. So that was the story of our alcohol or whatever. But we learned a lot. So we grew from because my guy is quite innovative. He's come up with a product. When the alcohol failed, we had already started making a product called Gweke. It's a maize snack. Some people might have seen it on market.
Merengue, but anyway.
Merengue, yes. But softer and crunchy and easier to eat. And we're starting to pack and senene. Some people have seen the senene in like a Pringle tin. Nowadays we make choco butter as well, and we sell a bit of bulk chocolate to confectionaries. So that was the story of that cottage industry. It was a big fail. We learned our lessons. We understood that some of the things, distribution is very key for fast-moving goods. Probably you can't do it yourself, but if you do a good product, like we're trying to do with the new products, then you can find distributors. And
so you promised to tell, because you said you sold your flats, and you promised to talk to us today, at this time, about real estate and as an investment and so on. And so do you want to take us through those experiences and the lessons that you picked with respect to real estate investment? Yeah.
Okay, true. One, like I told you earlier on, I started my first journey in real estate was just after campus, buying small pieces of land here and there. I kept some of them for quite some time. And later on, with some of these businesses, it was the real estate I was flipping something here and I put here. And I've always had this belief: land buys land. So every time I sell land, as part of the profit, I'll buy another piece of land somewhere. Right? I might sell it for 100 million. I'll go and buy something for 10 million somewhere, and even forget about it or whatever. But I'll replace it. I'll probably use some of the profit for another venture, but I'll replace it with something else. Now, my journey starts with buying a few plots here and there, sell them, buy, flip. That's how I even got into the farming thing. So, how do you get into this business? One, real estate is a journey. It's not something. It's not a sprint. You don't wake up and buy land, and it's a small thing. You're talking to brokers. You're visiting these different types of land, and you're of course you're looking after them. You're giving him like a 20K for his airtime. And tomorrow, if another deal comes up, who is he going to call? He's going to call you because you're nice to him. You're building rapport. He will tell you where the next thing is happening. I remember when I first moved to Chanja, people would ask us, "Where do you live?" And we would tell them, "It's us." Because the moment you say the Chanja, they will ask you, "Where is that?" Now I think Chanja is sort of self-explanatory. So that is how my philosophy on investing in real estate has always been to look at where is the action likely to happen next. So for instance, I've bought quite a number of pieces of land in a place called Chuenda. When I bought Chuenda 10 years ago, an acre was 4 million. I know you're dealing with, I don't want to call them peasants, but people with not a lot of expectations, like Kampala chaps. So a plot is a million, 4 million, you deposit 1 million.
And you keep coming back.
Then you keep coming up 300, 500. Now, the land that I bought at 4 or 5 million is now going for 100 million in a space of 10 years. But you see, it has appreciated. It has appreciated because I didn't just buy land for. You need to put in a bit of logic. You need to study the trends. Where is the market headed to? What is the next? Where is it happening next? What is going to happen there? Where is this road likely to connect?
Okay.
That kind of thing. So I started my real estate journey. I go into developing as well. We have a sizable portfolio of moderate high-end apartments. I don't know if it's charging $800 or $1,000. I don't know if you call that high-end.
That's high-end, man.
So yeah, a bit of that. So we have we've gone into developing, and our next phase. Our next phase is going to be build to sell, because we have put a product in the market that we are proud of. That you can come and see that tomorrow if I put out a project and say, no, see what we have done, you can go look at it and you'll be confident that I can deliver you a good product.
So Hillary, right now as we speak, there is over 1,700 people listening to us, which just shows you the sheer amount of interest. Yeah. So I will let Otoa ask a question or two, and then after that I will open it up to the public, because guys have so many questions for you, not just about real estate but about life. I think you've been passing on lessons. You've earned yourself a reputation as a straight talker who is honest and authentic. So people want to ask questions. So Otoa.
Hillary, my brother, man. Those UK stories must bring back several memories, man. I remember that hustle, spending the whole outside British High
Both of you are
Commission.
barmen in the UK.
Boss, I was also a grills master at TGI Fridays, working on that grill for 5 years. So when you see me roasting, don't judge. Just know that I am just coming on with my passion. But I mean, Hillary,
ask your question.
you really epitomize what they call a hustle. And many young people actually look up to you. Now, many of them, of course, are focusing on education and then, of course, getting a job and living the life. But you talk about different revenue streams. Question one, how have you mastered the idea of different revenue streams as a way of creating wealth? Because over time, we do realize that the more revenue streams you have, the more wealth you're accumulating and more avenues for, engaging in terms of creating business or having an impact in the business world. But then also, two, is also the critical question of accessing capital for investment. I know you've talked about the land, which is quite interesting, but for other businesses beyond just selling your assets. Supposing you're a young guy, for many of the young guys on here who have no assets, what are the easy ways of accessing capital? Then finally, saving culture. What's the best way or best advice you can give an 18 or 25-year-old on how to save for their future? That's all.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Tony. The first one was about. Quick reminder. The first question.
Right. The first one was really about. The first one was really about the different revenue streams. How do you
diversifying your portfolio?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. How do you manage the different revenue streams? Okay. By the way, at this point. Of doing some of these things. I didn't even tell you, but I operated in Chikubo as well. I had a shop in Chikubo. Lost 200 million. Went there because they were saying the money is in the Chikubo. That was one of those other big failures. Yes. So the different revenue
Really
streams.
tried things in this world.
I've tried many things, and I'll tell you the last one is going to be the bombshell you will fear. But anyway, the different revenue streams, alongside probably having a hustle, an official job. How do you do this? How do you go about it? Okay, one.